Why don't we
Well-
go ahead and I'll start the introductions and we'll get things rolling.
Sounds like
So I'd like to, so let's get started. Thank you, everybody, and welcome to our Cle training. I appreciate everybody coming out. We have worked hard to make sure that the Cle training will be concise and less than 2 hours. We had a very good time doing our lieutenant governor training, and we were under 2 hours all 3 times that we did it. So we're going to move right along, and we are, we're respectful of your time. So we're going to get as much as we can done tonight for the presidents. But before we get started, I would like to introduce, our executive director, Ken Garley, so that he can go ahead and give us some of the updated versions of what's going on with membership for next year. So Ken, could you take it away, please?
Sure, absolutely. Thank you very much, Governor. So as some of you may or may not have heard, beginning on October 1st, there will be a change to the new member dues. Let me start my there we go. That's what I'm looking for. So beginning October 1st, there will be a change to the new member fees that Kiwanis International charges. Okay. And can't get my mouse to work. All right, let's try this. New member dues will be prorated. This modification is only going to affect new member fees. Okay. And it does not affect your local club fees. So some of the people I've described this to have kind of freaked out, and I totally understand why. So for example, if your club, say, charges $25, $35, whatever, to a new member to pay for a new hat, to pay for the pin, to pay for the name badge and all that stuff, you can still do that. It does not affect new member local club fees. It only affects Kiwanis International and Southwest District fees. Currently, when a new member is brought on board, they pay $50 to Kiwanis International and $15 to the Southwest District for a $65 total. And this doesn't matter if you join on October 1st, which is the first day of our year, or if you join on September 30th, which is the last day of our year, or any day in between, it doesn't matter. You still owe $65. But beginning on October 1st, new members are going to pay Kiwanis International Southwest District dues on a prorated schedule. Okay, so what your current dues are right now, if you're a full member, is $52 goes to Kiwanis International, $17 pays for your liability insurance, your directors and officers insurance, and your magazine. And the Southwest District gets $40, total of $117. So beginning October 1st, or currently on October 1st, all of us owe at least $117 plus your local club dues. Your new member will also pay $117, but it's going to be on this schedule. So if your new member joins in October, they pay 100% of the $117. If they join in November, they're going to pay 11/12. Let's say they join in April, they're going to pay 1/2. So in other words, instead of paying the $117, they would pay $58.50. Let's say your new member joins in September of next year. Instead of charging them the full amount, they're going to owe a grand total of $9.75. So this, like I say, it takes effect on October 1st, and our schedule is going to be 1/12. So October is 12/12, November 11/12, December 10/12. Makes life so much easier for everybody. Clubs will continue to be billed by Kiwanis International as they always have. Nothing in that's going to change. Your annual fees will still be due by November 30th, and your new member fees will be due 30 days after the member is entered into the dashboard. That is Kiwanis International's new policy in a nutshell. If you have any questions, you are welcome to call me or email me. I didn't put my phone number on there. Email me, text me, whatever and be more than happy to walk you through any questions you may possibly have. But I just wanted to give you a real quick heads up so that when your secretaries and your treasurers start talking to you, they don't, it's not like a total shock to you. Like, what do you mean? This doesn't make any sense. I just wanted to make sure you guys were aware of what the changes are and what's coming down the road beginning October 1st, Kiwanis International. Governor, I appreciate the time you gave me. I told you I would take less than 5 minutes. I think I took exactly 5 minutes. So back to you, Governor Tony.
Well, thank you very much, Ken, and I appreciate that. And once again, I would like to just say that I am the governor-elect. I will be the governor in 3.5 years. Governor Don Townsend is the current governor, and he has been doing a fantastic job, and I'm going to be following in a lot of things that he's been implementing this year will be continued through my term also. So right now, I'd like to introduce Jerry Whaling. He is our Leadership Development Coordinator, which is an appointed position. It's a 3-year term. Jerry's been a president, secretary, treasurer, director, and has also held many committee chairs throughout the district. Now, Jerry, myself, Ken, Governor Don, we've all worked together, and we've all been instrumental in developing this Cle training together so that we could bring this to you on the weeknights. And Jerry wanted to definitely give you a chance to come along and on a Saturday and pick it up if the weeknights did not work for you for your training, because KI requires that all of the 20, 21, 22 officers attend their respective classes. So we're doing everything we can to make it as convenient and as time efficient for all of our members. So with that said, I would like to introduce our Leadership Development Coordinator, Jerry Whaling. Jerry, the Zoom is yours.
Thank you very much, Tony. I appreciate the introduction. You didn't need to be so flowery about it, but that's okay. I'm going to actually share my screen tonight, but before we start, there's a couple of things that I want to clear up. For those who are president-elects and are going to be taking office on October 1st, and you want to get credit for attending this session, you have to do one thing and one thing only during this presentation. You need to add your name and enter that with your club name in the chat box. So if you go to your chat box, enter your name and your club's name. That's all that's necessary, and then we'll take it from there. Ken and I will work on that, and we'll put that together and get it out to international for credit for you. So that's the thing that's very important tonight. And I'll remind you a couple times during the presentation to do that. So right now I'm going to share my screen. At least I think I will. Okay. Can everybody see my screen now?
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Okay. Well, I want to welcome everybody to the Southwest District Cle Training 2021. And basically want to welcome you. Today's main topics you can see there are your role as a president, administrative duties, meetings, some additional information that we are throwing in at you, and resources. So anyway, like I was saying, our main topics today are going to be your role as a president, administrative duties, meetings, additional information, and some resources. We're going to cover those topics as we go and move fairly quickly, but I want to tell everybody to feel welcome to ask questions as we go along, or if you want to share something that you think is pertinent or important, you can simply buzz in or go in and holler or raise your hand, whatever, and we'll get you on screen so that you can do that. So moving on, thought we'd do some contacts first, contact information. I am the Southwest District Leadership Development Coordinator. You can reach me at my email address, which is on the screen now, or my mobile phone, either one. And the Southwest District Office, Ken had the district office up, but there are two contacts there, his Southwest District Kiwanis.org email and his phone number. I bet you're happy I did that, Ken.
No problem. That's what I'm here for.
Okay, now our goal is to prepare you to build a strong club, to perform in the office of president, and to work with your fellow officers, because I find that that's extremely important. You will work very closely with two people, that's your secretary and your treasurer. They are the key people in the building block of your success for the year. So I would strongly suggest that if you can, go online. If you've not been a secretary or not been a treasurer, go on when their training is on Tuesdays and Wednesday, and take a look at their training too, so you know what they're doing, and make sure that you talk to them and keep in touch with them as often as possible. Okay, under your duties, basically you have a lot of different duties. I'm going to just talk about each one because some of them don't pertain to some of the clubs and some of them do. Strategic plan. If you have a strategic plan, now is the time to start looking at that. Look at your club's strategic plan if there is one. If you want to create one, that could be a goal that you would do for the year. But you're going to do a lot of planning between now and the end of September. All of your planning and your goal setting has to be done for the year. So you want to organize, and you want to support, and you want to motivate your individual people. You want to look for on your planning to get information from those people. You want to support your service leadership programs, that's your SLP groups, that during the year. You want to conduct your training for advisors in youth protection. I think this is key. I find that in most cases, our SLP groups do not receive training for advisors. And so therefore, that includes both our advisor and the school advisor. So it'd be a good idea to do a joint training for them. And we are required every year to do youth protection training. And we're going to talk about running an effective meeting. So these are some of the duties that you have. There's more duties that you have. You got a duty to communicate as much as possible to everybody as far as your members go, and other groups within your organization. You want to do that. You want to recognize and reward. I think this is probably the biggest thing that I find is a means of activating your membership, is to recognize people when they do something, say thank you, possibly come up with some rewards to do during the year. And we'll talk about that a little more in detail. Contribute to your foundations. Every year we have if you have a foundation of your own, you should be putting some money away to that foundation. If you have a foundation for the district, you want to donate to the district foundation. And we might talk about some things on the district foundation that can be used for awards also. And we want to contribute to the Children's Fund. We'll talk about the Children's Fund a little later. We want to contribute to all of those, and it's extremely important to contribute to the Children's Fund, because that's how we get some scholarships back. And we have been, if I remember correctly, we've been third many a time. I don't think we've been below third in the last 5 years as far as donations from our memberships. Okay, we want to encourage attendance at all your meetings, encourage attendance at your projects, and encourage attendance at both district and division events that will come up and happen during the course of the year. You want to delegate intentionally. Now, what does that mean? I find all too many times presidents will ask for a volunteer, and they'll say, is anybody interested in volunteering for such and such for membership chair, we'll say. Well, you know what happens when you do that? Usually you don't get anybody that'll volunteer for membership chair. So you want to delegate intentionally. Think of the person that you would want to take that position. Look at them and ask them directly. Lynn, for example, she's in my club, so I can do this. Would you like to be chairman next year? I really could use your help as as the membership chairman for 2021-22. That's asking her directly. She's going to give me a direct answer back, yes or no, and then I know what's going on.
I'm president, never.
You don't want to do that? But that's what
No, we've got
asking
one.
intentionally is. It's a little different than approaching it from just asking for volunteers. You want to look at, find out from Tony what the distinguished club qualifications are so that you can be a distinguished club. I do know that Tony has told me already that both the president and the secretary have to attend Cle training for you to be qualified as a distinguished club. So it's very important that we do that. Last, lead by example, and I think that's very important. If people go to sign up and they go to a project and they don't see you there, they go to a meeting and you're not there, but maybe one meeting or two meetings out of a quarter, then that's not a good example. If you don't bring in a member yourself, that reflects back on what the club peers you to be as a leader. So that's a very important thing. Okay, now planning for your year, because this is the important one. We have to start now because basically October 1, you want to be ready to get started and move down the road in a very quick fashion. So right now, what you need to do as a president, you should be consulting your new board of directors, not the old board of directors, but the new one. Consult with your current president and talk to whoever's going to be your secretary and your treasurer, because you want to involve them. And I like what Lynn is doing this year in our club. She's actually going to have a meeting and asked me to dedicate a whole meeting where she can run and ask membership to bring in ideas and give her some direction that she can use for her own planning. So that's very important. So that's what you want to do on your planning there. If you're going to do community service projects, you should evaluate your current projects, see how they apply and whether or not they may have not be serving the purpose that you originally started them for, or maybe they need a little tweaking, or maybe you just want to get rid of them all together and look in a different direction. But you should do an evaluation there. Again, ask for member input. You can do that by a member survey. You can do it by voice messaging. You can do anything, email. Just make sure you get as much input as possible from your members. The next step you're going to do is you're going to have to set some goals. So set your goals, particularly start with membership, and then go right down the line and set a few goals. It might be a specific project that you have, a pet project that you would like to accomplish that year. Maybe it's a donation or a nonprofit that you feel you'd like to support, whatever it is, but you set goals. Then after you've done all this planning and everything, you want to present your club plan to your members. Now, how you do that is one of two ways. Either you wait until you start and then present it, or you're going to have what is called a conference or a planning session where you're going to actually bring the members in, do a presentation to them and explain what your goals are and talk to them about what's going on. So that's an important thing. And then the last thing is to schedule training. You want to make sure that your training's done. How many of you are members of the board that aren't officers? Usually very, very seldom do the directors get any direction on what they're expected of them or what they should be doing. So schedule training for them. You might do what we talked about earlier, training for your gosh, my mind is going blank today. Training for the people that are working with your SLP groups, your advisors. Mm-hmm. That kind of gives you an idea. Are there any questions at this time?
Nope.
Nope, good.
Okay. Now, where do you fit in the big game here? So if you stop and you think of Kiwanis being a machine, if you have any weak components, it doesn't work very well. Just as if a gear's got a cog missing, it doesn't seem to work very well. So you have to make sure that you can keep that pieces of your club strong. So you want to make sure that it works well. So you look at your situation. You are the president of your club. You have your president-elect, you have your secretary, your treasurer, and your club board of directors. So in your club, the key people that you're going to work with, are you're going to rely on your past president, who was also a member of your board, for advice. You're going to mentor your president-elect for next year so that they start getting an idea of what they need to do. And you have to inform them that they're going to run a meeting occasionally when you're not there. Then you have to work closely with your secretary and your treasurer, because they're the ones that are either going to be working directly with you to create your agendas, etc., or get information back to you to feed back to the club membership. And then, like I say, your board of directors, they need to understand what to do for board meetings and that. When you move on to the division, and this is where you've got your division, you have a lieutenant governor over top of your division, and you want to use them. That's a resource that you can call upon for things that you might need for help for membership. Maybe it's just a question that you need answered. You can get to the division lieutenant governor, and they can get that answer for you. In the district, we have people in the dictionary. You got the district governor. You may not talk to him once or twice until he comes and visits your club or visits your division, but you will probably at least have some interplay with the governor. You will have a secretary, but we don't call him a secretary in the Southwest District. That's Ken's position as the director for the Southwest District. So you can always go to him for help or questions. Then we have a treasurer who oversees our budgetary situation in the finance committee. You probably will not have a lot to do with him unless you have questions about specifics within the structure of how you're doing your finances for the club, or how you're handling your your checking accounts, or possibly if you go to a meeting and want to sit in on the finance committee, you might have direct contact with the treasurer. And then you go to Kiwanis International, and naturally there, we don't have much contact with the international president. Used to be they always came out, and once in a while they'll be out for a visit. But you have people back there that you can rely on. You can call Kiwanis International. You can send an email to people in Kiwanis International. All you have to do is ask a question. If you call in, they'll direct you to the person who can best answer that question. And it can be anything about SLPs. It can be about training. It can be about anything you want. So there's your group that you're working with. And in the district, you have people like myself, and you also have chairmen for the different programs within the district itself. And that's something that if you ever want to get a list from Ken, he can send you a list of the chairman heads. Then you can contact them about any questions you have about their specific area of expertise. Okay. Now, membership is always going to be the biggest thing, because we have lost a lot of members over the years, and we're now starting to move in a positive direction, we hope. And that's where you come in. So you got to actively promote your membership so it grows. And we concentrate very definitely now on member retention, because it's important that we don't lose any more members, that we start adding members. You should be looking at appointing a membership chair if your club has a membership chair, or maybe 2 or 3 people that could work together as a membership committee. Sometimes that works well. You also want to work very closely with your membership chair or membership committee to make sure that they're moving ahead, what their plans are. Ask them to put together a couple membership drives during the year, and listen to their ideas and come up with some good membership opportunities. You want to work closely with your membership or with your membership goal, because you have a goal. Set realistic goals. I don't expect people to come in and say, yes, we're going to grow this club by 25. That may be a little bit unrealistic unless you have a certain thing that you're doing. But I would say anything from 5 to 10 people is very achievable at this point in time, because now we're moving out of the pandemic. We're starting to do active projects again and working directly in our meetings and having live meetings. So therefore, that's our opportunity. People are now realizing that, hey, there's a lot of things going on. They may want to join Kiwanis. I think that's important. Invite guests to meetings and also to your projects or any special events that you might have. So that's the things we want to do to promote membership. Okay, club meetings. Okay, you have to run. You're running your club meetings, and I don't know whether you're having 1 meeting a month, 2 meetings a month, 4 meetings a month. It doesn't matter. But each meeting that you have to have an agenda prepared. You can work with you can do the agendas yourself as president. I always recommend working with your secretary because the secretary does have to take notes. So it's a good idea to work together with them and usually have the secretary possibly help you out and build the agenda for you each week so it gets consistency. Presentation of your room. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. You're going to go in and set up your flags and you're going to do whatever you want to set up for if you're having meals where they're going to collect the money for the meals, etc. Okay, third part there is having a program. You can have a program at any meal or any meeting you want. The main programs that everybody has, it should be sometimes a speaker. We have done things such as KI training and you want a video. You can have, we do our student of the month program, for example, and we do that at our meeting and we invite people to there and that becomes our program. Okay, so there's a lot of things you can do, but you always should have some kind of a program. And you should make it fun. In other words, do something within your meeting that's fun, not just a dry meeting. You might do things like a lot of clubs do happy dollars. They do a raffle maybe. They have a game somewhere in there. They can do trivia. They might do several different possibilities. So there's a lot of things there. Just think of something that can be fun. I have seen everything from history moments where they'll have what's happening that day in history and read 2 or 3 things that happened that day in history to, like I say, a game of maybe just one trivia question or a game, make a game out of it for the club. You can do a lot of different things, but make it fun. The next thing is educational. You should be dropping some kind of education for the members that are coming into your club. So you should maybe set up just a short brief thing of history about Kiwanis, or possibly it might be a description of what SLP groups are, what Key Club is, what Builders Club is, etc. But do some kind of educational, just for a 1-minute educational spot. That's a real good way to keep your meetings fresh and happy. You also want to recognize guests, and I'm going to just tell you one thing here that I think is important and we have gotten away from in a lot of the clubs over the years is protocol. Okay, when you're recognizing guests, they should be recognized individually, and if there is a let's say a lieutenant governor in attendance, everybody should be stand and give a round of applause to the lieutenant governor. But now what happens if the governor happens to be at the meeting along with the lieutenant governor? How do you handle that? Well, believe it or not, you should be introducing the lieutenant governor first, and then the elected lieutenant governor should actually be introducing the governor. And then you would all stand to recognize the lieutenant governor. Okay, inviting an SLP. If you have SLP groups, we should be inviting them to meetings. I'd like to see an SLP group come at least once a quarter to our club, to a club meeting, and make a brief presentation. Or you could do things like maybe have your agenda, have the president of your SLP Key Club come in and run the meeting for you. There's a lot of things you can do, but that can make it fun and exciting to bring an SLP group in. Okay, the last thing on here is the thing that I think is the most important, that's recognizing and thanking people. If you saw somebody that's done something that you think needs recognition, thank them for doing something. Or if you want to, you can actually recognize them with some kind of a reward or a certificate for what they've done for the club up to that point, or during that quarter, let's say. That's up to you on how you do it. Just think out of the box, find ways to do that, and recognize and thank everybody at every meeting.
You do it.
So especially club. Did somebody have a question?
No, I was just gonna say, you do it very well, Jerry.
Okay, thank you. Special club fun nights. Now, this is something that I think is very important, because I've mentioned that fun has got to be within our club. So you got to have some fun at your meetings. You have to have, maybe add a fun activity like I mentioned before, but you could also have special club events. You can go bowling. You can have a social night. You can have a project that you might work on. Let's say you're doing backpacks for kids. So why can't you bring the backpacks in and bring all the goodies in and spend a meeting, instead of having the meeting, packing the bags, and call it a meeting? And that's perfectly okay with KI. It's perfectly okay with anybody. And it can be something that is different and can be fun. Okay. Do something out of the ordinary. And I think that's the thing that you want to think of. So the two pictures there, you could go bowling. We've gone bowling before. We've gone to a place called Top Golf and hit golf balls. You could go out and go miniature golfing. You can do anything you want. It's just whatever you want to do. Okay. Is there anybody that has an idea of something that they do within their meetings that they'd like to share with everybody else?
I'll share one with you, Jerry.
Okay.
So in Santa Fe, we do Happy Bucks, but our Happy Bucks have a few years ago took this strange twist. As many of you may or may not know, in Santa Fe, especially or New Mexico, everything has chili on it, red or green chili. So now when you present a Happy Buck, you also have to declare whether you're on the red chili team or the green chili team. It becomes very competitive and lots of fun, because the greens will boo the reds will boo the greens will cheer the greens, the reds will cheer the reds. And it's $1. It goes into the admin fund, and it just becomes a fun time for everybody.
Absolutely. I like that one. Is there anybody else?
Yes, this is Erica Stevens with Litchfield.
Uh-huh.
We actually did a paint party. We have a 5th Thursday that we always do an activity. And so we meet 2 times a month, and when we have a 5th Thursday, we have an activity. So this July, we're going to be going bowling. Or we're gonna also do an escape room, which is gonna be interesting. They won't let us out until we solve the problem. So we might not see you guys for a while.
That's awesome.
That's a great one. I know our club has done things. We do a monthly social where we meet at a restaurant around town. And that serves 2 purposes. One, it's a chance for us to get together and relax together and visit with our members. But we all wear our shirts and identify ourselves as Kiwanians, and in hopes of we can take people as guests, but people see us. The restaurants see us coming in to a different restaurant every month, and it's more of a promotion, and it works extremely well for us to promote our club and make us seen in the community. So that's another good one.
So I need to jump in my lap. Thanks anyway.
I have one. This is Ron Clue, Coronado, Kiwanis, and Albuquerque.
Okay.
We had to suspend this for the last year for the pandemic, obviously, but we have what we call KOT, Kiwanis on Tap. So once a month, we get together with our club. Albuquerque is well known for the number of brew pubs that we have in the city. So once a month, we pick a we try to pick the new ones that are coming up. Once a month we go there, we invite our spouses, and we have close to 75% participation, I would say, and it's just a good opportunity for us to get together, relax, drink a beer or two. We usually pick a place that also serves food, and we bring our wives or spouses, I should say, and it's just a good time.
Fantastic. I like that. Okay. Anybody else?
Yes, this is Glenn Hinchcliffe from the Corrales Club in Albuquerque. Somehow or another, we need to let our club members and other club members know what we are doing, and to support the online, both the monthly report of what your club has done and how it and what you are accomplishing and where your goals are is so important. Division 2 is so, District 2, I guess, is so spread out that it is difficult to understand what the club next door to you is doing and how you can relate to them, learn from them, and grow from them. So I really suggest that we need to support our monthly reporting.
Oh, absolutely. Reporting is key. If you don't report, nobody can really track anything within it. But it to me, that sounds like a great opportunity, because I think that was a good thing that's come out of COVID, was we've all started to learn how to do Zoom. At least most of us. I still have my troubles, but we've got the chance to use Zoom, and you can have your little Zoom meetings with another club in another area, particularly like you say in Division 2. I know it's a long ways from between clubs, so you can just have a little get together and set up a Zoom at your meeting, and they can actually watch your meeting. So
yeah, perhaps we can figure out how to have interclub via Zoom, which has not been really truly promoted over the last several months. I mean, it's been talked about, but I think that is something that needs to get us all back together. And also, frankly, it gives kudos to your individual club, because you joined another club with 5 people for a meeting,
Yep.
And so that needs to be exemplified.
Absolutely. Okay.
Jerry,
yes.
can I say something real quick?
Sure.
What Sue's husband is talking about, I mean, it puts ideas in my mind, but I have my monthly DCMs on Zoom, and I have 10 clubs in my division over here, and I invite people from around the country here and there so they can see what we're doing out here in Arizona. And we go through, each one of my clubs has to give a 3-minute report on what they're doing, and it gives the other club ideas. Oh, they do this, they do that, maybe we can do something like this. The interclub can be done also on something like that, but just the Zoom right now has really kept our clubs intact, so to speak, informed more than if we were meeting in person, believe it or not, because there's no excuse. You can't do this from that you can't go to a meeting now. You can do from home. And so now my last Zoom meeting was very little because the Suns are playing that night. And so I expected not a whole lot of people, but I try to get guests that I think would really be interesting for all the clubs, not just for my club. And we had a really great guest on this last time. And then the next time I'm going to have BACA, Bikers Against Child Abuse. How many people even know about these people that go out and help kids, and they're all bikers, so this helps keep the club in touch and informed and know each other. And then if they have questions, I mean, especially with our chat rooms over here, they can ask the other club members, how do I do this? Can you give me your email and we can get together? So it's really, really good to use Zoom for your DCMs and do your DCMs, do them. It's really important for every division to do one.
Mary,
Absolutely.
you and Sue had gone out of their ways, obviously. I
Sue and I are buddies.
club needs to, as you've said, each club needs to notify and say, we're having a special guest. Wouldn't you like to hear what they're saying?
Yes.
Great idea.
What that does is it falls under the deal of communication. There are so many ways now that we can communicate that we couldn't communicate before.
Mhm.
So you can set up something because we're making contacts outside of our, let's say outside of our club, outside of our division, outside of our district even, that we can really spread out and get some better ideas and better input.
Mhm.
Okay, let's move on. So they tell me I'm supposed to stay in my time frame. Okay, let's look at club board meetings. That's the second meeting that you have to attend to run each month. So you have to do, you're required, they say you're required to do one a month, but you can do one a month. If you don't have a quorum, you can't even do one. But you should have a board meeting every month. It should have an agenda. You can, believe it or not, run them live or online. We've done several of them online. We've had them live. It doesn't matter how you do it. And then there's a special board meeting. Every once in a while you'll run into a circumstance where you're having a problem within the club or something that needs addressing, and you don't have time to wait till your next board meeting to address that. It might be a special application for an event or something like that. So you can call a special board meeting. The president can call a board meeting. All he's got to do is contact the majority, get a majority vote or agreement from the board, and then he can call a special meeting. It does require 48 hours notice to the rest of the board members so that the board can be informed properly. And when the board meeting meets, whether it's a regular board meeting or a special board meeting or anything, we have to have a quorum. That's an important thing. And our quorum, as stated in bylaws and everything, is 50% plus one. So if you only have 9 members, 50% is 4.5. That means you got to have 5 members. But if you go to 10, you need 6. So it just depends. Just be careful to make sure that you have a quorum. You can still run a meeting, but you can't vote if you haven't got a quorum. So, and the last thing is something that I wanted to put in here. The secretary has to take minutes, or somebody has to take minutes, because the minutes have to be approved for the previous month's board meeting each month. So somebody has to be taking notes and fill it out and do a minutes for that meeting. Then the last thing was one that I didn't even know about, is I did not know this, but I discovered that in my readings that if the board makes a decision, and usually most of us publicize what's going on in the board, or tell the club, or give them a report after the board meeting. But if the membership doesn't agree with the decision that the board made, they have the right to call a vote of all of the members, and they can rescind that and take that decision back from the board. To do so, that requires a 2/3 vote of all of the club members. But I was not even aware of that. So that's something that should be a caution to your board, to make sure that you don't overstep your bounds and approve something without thinking. So, hey, any questions about club board meetings? Okay. Now, other meetings you can have. One, we should be all doing new member inductions. If you've got new members, what better way to do a program than to have a new member induction? So, because you want to induct them and make it a special evening for them. You can do a packet that you give them. Some people I've seen have them come to every meeting and talk to everybody until they've met everybody and write off everybody's name. You can do a lot of different things. That's up to the club itself. But the induction ceremony itself should be done every time you bring new members on board. Club President's Planning Conference, we talked about that earlier. Your planning is now done. you're got your goals together. So you do a club planning conference. You can do it at a lunchtime. Maybe you have like we're going to do a luncheon buffet where we're just going to have everybody bring a potluck to it, and we'll have a little lunch, and we'll have a report on what's the plan for the next year is going to be. You could have a club president's address. Now all presidents should plan on doing this, is at the first or second meeting in October, you should be presenting your address to the club, what you plan to do, membership chairs, you can recognize people, you can do anything you want, but you should make an address to the club so that they understand the direction that you're taking for the club for the year. Annual club election meeting, this is extremely important. Your election should be happening in April and be reported to Kiwanis International no later than May 15th. And that's very important that we do that, because if Kiwanis International doesn't know who the officers are next year, they can't certify training for them when they come on board. So you have to make sure you do that. A lot of clubs do their own nominating committee earlier in the year, like January, February timeframe, and have them look for officers to fill positions. It's up to you how you do that, but you got to have an annual election meeting. Orientation meetings. I find that if you want to do an orientation meeting at a regular meeting, it's awkward if the majority of the people have been through orientation, have been a member for a long time, and there's only one or two new members that are going to get something from the orientation. So sometimes you can call one outside, or just have a meeting where you call the new members and have them meet with usually the president and the membership chair and possibly the secretary or something, and you meet separately and have a breakfast together or have coffee together and do a orientation. But orientation to new members is extremely important. You got division council meetings. Your lieutenant governor, you should be in contact. He should be in contact with you in the next 2 months, but you should find out the name of your lieutenant governor for next year and reach out to them, because he should be invited to your installation banquets, whatever you're going to do for your meetings there, for awards banquet, and you're installing the new officers. They can be requested to do the installation if you so desire, but they always should be at least invited to your meeting to attend. District and international conventions. We have district international conventions every year. I would always advise presidents, if it's at all possible, get to your district convention, because that's where you get a lot of training, you get to meet a lot of people, and there is a lot of things that go on at district convention that can be of benefit to your clubs. International conventions are great to go to if you can. It's not a requirement that everybody has 3 or 4 people go to your international convention. Ideally, is if at least 1 or 2 people from your club would attend an international convention and come back and give a report. But if you go to one, I'll tell you, it's well worth it. I went to my first one back in 1997 or 98, and you'll never guess where it was. It was in Salt Lake City, and now I'm going to go back to Salt Lake City. I've attended a few in between too, but I'm going to go back to Salt Lake City this time and kind of do a full circle type thing. So those are the things that you want to be looking at as far as your other meetings and stuff like that. The next thing, we've kind of touched a little bit on this, is communication. You have a lot of knowledge that you're trying to pass out. You're planning your ideas that you hear from other members, things that come up, your project, your events, meetings, special things, anything that's going on. You got to communicate that out. You got to get a communication that goes to your members. You got to keep your lieutenant governor informed of things. And certain times you'll need to inform the district of what's happening within your club. So there might be a district special project that you might want to get into the district newsletter. Okay?
Never touched that.
Does everybody have a member who is working on their PR? Because the public has to be informed about what's going on. If you have your installation banquet, for example, you should try to get an article written up and put it into your local paper if it's at all possible. You want to get news releases if you can get a news release on your major projects. Do anything you can that goes out to the public. And then you got to go to media. You have to have your media. We should all have a Facebook page. We should all have a website. We can have Instagram. You can have Yelp, you name it. It doesn't matter what it is, but get out on social media so that people can get in contact with you. It can bring members in. You can create interest for other people that are out there to come to one of your meetings or to come to a project. So that's a very important. I can't think anything else about. Does anybody else have anything on communication? We've had some good ideas that came through what we talked about a little bit ago. I like the idea of having a link to every club in the division at least, and putting out something to those divisions so they can keep track. There's no reason why you or I can't go to your club, can't go and work with another club on a project that might be of interest. So that's something we should look at also. Now, each Kiwanis member has a reason for joining the club. I think that's, and everybody seems to be different. They'll have a little different reason, and they remain a Kiwanian. So as long as people have a good experience, and this is where a president is so important, they need to have a great experience so that they create a love for the product, which is Kiwanis. And if you do that, they'll want to share it with others. And if they share it with others, what does that produce? That produces some members. So when people share their experience, your club will grow. If we look here, I always use this. I really like this for a component. Happy members will ask others to join because they're interested in having their friends be with them. And that increases your membership. Increased membership allows us to have more people to work on projects, more ideas that come into the club so that we can work on better serving our communities and our children. And that equals one thing for you, and that equals club success for you as a president. So those are things that you might want to look at. Okay. Community roots. This has been something that's been a growing thing in Kiwanis over the last few years. How often do you look at other organizations to partner with? There are a lot of different groups out there that we can work with. We are going to be looking at one at the district level with a foundation called Alice Cooper's. What's it called? Alice Cooper's Solid Rock Foundation, and they will be making a presentation to us during district convention. And we think it's really a great opportunity to partner with them on some projects, and they are very interested in doing that with us. Now, how visible are you? How often do we get out? So I say we got to get out to the community. They don't see us if we're not out there doing something. If we can do some projects, wear your shirts, identify yourself as Kiwanians, and make sure that you shout the name once in a while. Okay? How relevant are your activities to the community's needs? We need to keep involved with the people within our community, the officers and the mayor's office, the recreation office, find out where they're at, fire departments and all that. What can we do to work with them? What do they need, and how can we help them? I think we've all done projects with somebody in the service of the community, and so that's something we want to reach out. So it's very, very good to develop roots with your community. Now, other special aspects of club leadership. Okay, I wanted just to inform you, and Ken, you already covered this for me. You took away my thunder a little bit. Kiwanis International dues and fees, we were gonna say they're changed, and we understand the changes coming in. But the dues currently are $52 for international dues, 17 for liability and directors and officers insurance, and the $8 for a magazine subscription, and $40 comes back to the district. That's important to know because it's going to change there. But that's 117 that we are responsible as a club and as a president to make sure that our dues get paid by November. By the end of November, we want our dues paid. So it's important. So it doesn't matter if a member joins in August or September, his dues are going to come due. Their dues are going to come due again on our roster as of the end of September. So you're going to pay for those dues, even though you may not have collected your club dues. And each club can set up their own dues. Oh, okay. I'm getting messages here. You can set up your own dues to cover those dues plus any other expenses that you have. Okay. Just real quickly, your administrative accounts and your operating accounts. Remember that income comes in from dues, membership fees, assessments, meals. If you're having meals, you can create it. And other than that, you have to be creative to come up with different ways for subsidizing your administrative accounts. I have recently come up with some, and I'm going to be making a presentation because it was brought to my attention. And we're going to try to put something together for education for district. It'll give you some ideas for raising income for your administrative accounts. So an income expenses coming out, anything that's related directly to Kiwanis membership, trying to get membership programs, club conventions, etc. Those things are all expenses that have to come out of the administrative account. So this is why I say for a president, you should, if you've never been a treasurer, attend the treasurer's training with him on Wednesday and find out what it's all about, because you'll learn a lot about that. Under your service accounts, just the opposite on the service accounts. If you're doing fundraising within the public and the public's donating the money to you, all that money has to go to your service accounts. So, and anything that's doing out of service, you can spend that money on, including your liability insurance. So you can always take money back out of your service account once you've paid your dues to cover the liability insurance portion of your dues or of your annual dues. So club service activities, etc., anything that has to do with educational or special activities, sponsorships, etc., that's all got to come out of that service account. So you got to work closely with your secretary to make sure that, or your treasurer, on how the club's spending funds. Okay. A lot of clubs have foundations. Some of them are created themselves. You check to see if your club has a foundation. If it does, you want to make sure that you have an advisor who can give you advice on your foundation. If not, you're missing the boat, because you can gain some pretty big money in a foundation if you already have one. Important thing to understand is you can get what's called an umbrella coverage through our district foundation, and you can set up a club foundation relatively easily through that. It's a little more awkward as far as when you have to get donations, and you're getting donations and how you have to supply them the information, because it's actually a subsidy underneath the umbrella of the Southwest District. So you might want to check into that. But I'm going to guess probably a third to half of the clubs here all have foundations. Club insurance programs. Okay. There's a club insurance research guide that's sent to your club secretary every year. Usually comes out in November. So, and if you want to find out more about it before November, you can go to Kiwanis.org and look at liability /liability. It'll tell you about that. that is where you go if you have an event going on and you have to get a certificate of insurance. If you have anybody you're meeting at a public building and they need a certificate of insurance to cover your meeting space there, that has to be done through Kiwanis International and get a certificate of insurance. So it's important to understand how that is. Your secretary should get that, and it wouldn't hurt to sit down and have at a board meeting and just go over that with your board members. Okay, making a difference. Okay, fundraising and service ideas. This is where I'm going to ask you guys for a little bit of help here too. But we want to consider what the needs are for your club. Most of us, we could always use more money, right? That's the key. And I've always looked at it this way. There are two types of fundraisers that you can have. You can have active fundraisers, which would be something like, let's say Zozobra, the celebration in Santa Fe. It might be, let's say a special project where you're doing a fundraiser locally through a tournament, let's say a golf tournament or something like that. Those are called active fundraisers. Then there are things that are called passive fundraisers, where it requires little or no effort on the part of the club other than to find locations or something to collect stuff that somebody else will pay for. So you can collect stuff from, let's say, a estate planning situation where somebody's getting rid of an estate and they had their sale. There's always a bunch of stuff that's left over that didn't get picked up. If your club wants to and has a storage facility, they can pick it up, store it, and have a garage sale, and that money can then go as a fundraiser. That's a passive one. It doesn't require a whole lot of activity. Our club has one. There's several clubs in our division that use one that's using the boys or big brothers, big sisters, and clothing boxes. So we've placed clothing boxes out at schools and that to raise funds to help the schools and help the students in the schools. And then, but the income comes to us. And that's completely passive. All you do is we check on the boxes once in a while and make sure that they're not got damage to them or anything like that. And that's about it. They just send us a check each month for all the clothing and all the stuff that they've collected through those boxes. Completely passive. Great fundraiser type situation. You just have to look and see what you can do. There's a lot of different fundraisers out there. Now I'm going to ask for a few. See how we doing on time? We're okay. If a few people want to give us what's their major fundraiser that they've got, some of their major fundraisers.
This is Deb from Corrales. Our major fundraiser is the Corrales Harvest Festival.
Okay. So now, do you put that festival on?
We put the festival on. We do everything.
Super. Okay. That's a fantastic one. That's a great active one that probably brings you in pretty good money, I'm guessing.
Yes, it does.
Okay. Anybody else?
Beaver Creek Kiwanis has a clothes closet. It's a resale store, and we're open 4 days a week. And we sell clothes. We take in donations and sell stuff really inexpensive. If people come in and need help, we give them the stuff. But that's one of the main things that's been carrying us through for this last year or so. The clothes closet, because everybody loves it. Our prices are so great, but we also help people in need. If somebody's house burns down, we give them clothes and all that kind of stuff. So we have somebody.
That's a fantastic thing.
Yeah, we have volunteers. It's totally run by volunteers. We actually pay rent on a site, on a room in a little strip mall. So it's a lot of work, but it's our main fundraiser because we haven't been able to do anything else this past year.
Okay. Is there anybody else who'd like to comment on one of their fundraisers?
Hey, Jerry,
Yes,
it's Jeff Rowe. Every year in October, the first week in October, the Kiwanis Club of Albuquerque, and hundreds of volunteers from clubs just like yours sell tickets at Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta.
Oh,
And
yeah.
we've done
Oh,
well.
yes.
We've done this for 40 years. So any one of you are welcome to sign up and get on the field at 3:30 in the morning and meet people with smiling faces.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, Sharon, I saw your hand up. Did you have something to say?
Yes, we haven't done it yet, but we are starting, we are going to begin to sell raffle tickets on a quilt that Las Cruces Quilt Guild gave us.
Okay.
And then I have a second quilt ready in line that I put it out on the 3 different quilt sites on Facebook. Ladies across the United States donated over 130 quilt blocks to me, and I have put the first quilt together, and it's being quilted now, so it won't be raffled off until January, February timeframe that we'll start selling tickets. So that we plan on being our big fundraiser.
Okay, I appreciate that. And that's a real good point to bring up here. Ken, are you still on?
I notified Ken about needing this to raffle off the quilt, and I answered the 3 questions. So
okay.
I'm allowed to do that.
Okay.
Yes,
yeah,
I learned that in Lieutenant Governor training.
Super. Yeah, it's
Yes.
very important if you're going to do raffles to check with Ken and make sure that because it depends on the value of the item, etc. And how
Yes,
much
I'm
the
a
ticket
go
is
on
being
that.
sold for. Fantastic. Okay. Anybody else? Okay, we'll move on then. Hey, Children's Fund, we're going to touch briefly on the Children's Fund here. It used to be known as the Kiwanis International Foundation. I believe it was changed in 2012. And I like the Children's Fund a lot better than I did Kiwanis International Foundation, because it kind of at least leads into what we like to say we're spending our time and our money on as children. It helps through club foundations, local club needs. It'll help with your district foundation. They have regional priorities. If you have regional priorities, they have a lot of different ways that you can put in for grants, etc. And the Children's Fund does projects that can benefit worldwide, such as the current one we're doing, the Eliminate program. And we also did the iodine deficiency disorder back in the 1990s. So those are examples where we're actually affecting huge numbers of individuals worldwide. So that's an important thing to do. So if we look at our role out here in the Kiwanis and as president is to raise funds from the Kiwanis community. Basically, we have grant funds to project important. They're going to give you grant funds to do important Kiwanis community. We can provide service to donors. We can provide resources in that to nonprofit organizations within your Kiwanis community, all through the Children's Fund. So our main function to fund the Children's Fund is basically our donations from the club. In our club donation, they are always projecting to get an award for our district that you donate $10 minimum per individual in your club. So that would cover exactly what they need to do it, and you actually get a patch for your banner. These are some of the things that the Children's Fund functions: disaster relief, service leadership programs, club and district service projects, the Eliminate project, and like I mentioned, iodine deficiency. So here's what we just talked about, your club recognition. If you are giving $10 per monthly average, you're what is called a blue winner, and you'll get a blue patch. Silver is if you're giving $25 per member. Gold is $50 per member. Now that's the average for the entire district. Some clubs give more than $10, some give less than $10. But that's the average. And all the donations that we give that go into the children's fund allow us to get back scholarships from international that we can award. So that's an important function of the children's club. We talked a little bit in the past about service leadership programs. I think everybody pretty much knows them. I don't know which ones each club supports, but I hope they support at least one of our service leadership programs. That's your Action Club for children in grade school. You got your Builders Club for junior high, Key Club in high school, and CKI in college. And you got K Kids, which is in grade school. Action Club is actually adults with learning disabilities.
Oh,
Okay. So those are the different ones that fall under there. We all should be looking at your budgets. When you look at your budget, if you have service leadership programs that you sponsor, you want to make sure that you support those SLPs. They go to district conventions, they go to special meetings. We want to be able to provide support for when they have to go. So you should always set aside some money within your budgets to support your SLPs, such as Builders. And when you look at Builders Club and K Kids, and I believe Action Club is the same way, the club is responsible to pay an annual fee for those clubs, no matter how many members they have. It is not that they pay dues and then pay their own way. Key Club and CKI, they collect dues from their members and they pay their own dues each year. Okay. Any questions about that? Okay.
We're good.
Other programs, Kiwanis Read Around the World, Bring Up Grades. These are just programs that we sponsor through international. Key Leader, Terrific Kids, Young Children Priority 1. That's mainly reading programs. We did a reading program. We went out and reached out to association, and they're donating books for our reading program. So that's something that you can look at for making a partnership. That's something that we did, just for ideas. Okay, service leadership groups, support them with funding. You want to make sure that if you have a sponsored one, that you have an advisor from the Kiwanis Club that acts as the Kiwanis advisor. Invite them to meetings, invite them to activities. You want to be involved with your SLP groups, particularly your Key Clubs and your Builders Clubs, etc. And work with them on training for your advisors and that's, again, I just want to put that in there because it's so important to train these people so that they can properly present themselves to the Key Club or whatever SLP group that you're sponsoring. Okay. Kiwanis Youth Protection Guidelines. We all hear about this one. A lot of people have problems with it because they say, oh, I've already got one, but I don't need one. But you do need one if you're working directly with a Key Club or any of the youth groups that we have as an advisor. You have to have youth protection training, and you have to do that. It costs $25 right now. Most of the clubs will reimburse a person that needs to get their background check done. So be aware that you have to do this, and be aware also that we have to train within our clubs each year. You're responsible as president to make sure that we train sometime during the year and have a meeting about youth protection guidelines. So that's an important thing to remember. Southwest District Kiwanis, this is where we're just going to basically touch base on officers and meetings. There's the contact for the Southwest District, and this is the second time you've seen this one. You've got mid-year education conference. I don't know how Tony's going to do that next year. We're going to look at, we did it all virtually this year. We will look about doing it regionally possibly next year, or we may do it on Zoom again because that worked out extremely well. We may go back to live, but it's very difficult to get it at a mid-education conference to make sure that we break even or make a profit. Sometimes in the last few years, we've lost money at our mid-year conferences. District convention, that comes every year. This year it's in Phoenix. And so if you can attend, come to district convention. It will all be virtual this year. But so you can get online. $25 allows everybody in your club to be involved, and then they can voluntarily, if they want to, donate $10 registration when they register. But everybody in your club can register once you've paid the $25. District officers, their district governor this year is Don Townsend. Tony Gutowski is our governor-elect, and he'll be our governor for 2021 and 22. And vice governor currently is Alma Carson, and she will be our governor in 2 years. So you want to be familiar with who your governor and who your officers are. District Foundation, the Southwest District Foundation.org. That's the contact and how you can contact them. They conduct Key Leader. They provide scholarships. They have Kiwanis Across the Borders program. They do student recognition, Roadrunner grants, Foundation Umbrella, and most of all, they have Camp Kiwanis, which can be used by any Kiwanian or any group. So if you have something and wanted to have a special meeting sometime, you could go to Camp Kiwanis, and as long as the room's available, you can reserve it and have a whole weekend retreat up there to do all your planning in one spell weekend. That'd be up to you. But yes, it is available for everybody, and a lot of groups use the camp during the course of the year. So I was going to talk about one thing is we talked earlier about awards, and everybody should be aware of this as a president. If your club is donating to the district foundation and you donate $1,000, I think it's $1,100 if I remember correctly, that will get you a Kiwanis emblem, the Kiwanis district emblem, and that comes to him, and you get the kachina, the actual kachina, and you can utilize that as one award for somebody who's been an outstanding member for a long time, or you can do it for split them and give them two different ways. That's up to you. You just do $1,000 donation, you get the kachina award, and it comes with the shadow box. The big deal. It's the highest award that you can get in the district. So be aware of that, because that's a great way to recognize somebody in your club. Last but not least, we have Kiwanis International. The one that you'll go to most often at Kiwanis International is going to go to member resources. That's why I put that one on here. There's a ton of information for educational purposes. For information, you can check out the history of Kiwanis. You can do all sorts of things through member resources. So that's a key resource for you as president to go through and look to help do programs, etc. If you need help or have any questions from Kiwanis International about any program that they have there or anything, I have put in the 800 number there to contact them. So those are the two most important things for Kiwanis International. Now, does anybody have any questions?
I have a question.
Fire away.
Okay, so whenever you were talking about, doing PR and having social media platforms available so people knew when your meeting was, are people able just to randomly show up to your meeting, or do they have to have an invite? And if they do show up, do we pay for their lunch?
It depends on the club's policy. You can do it one of several ways. Usually you can go and leave a response area on any one of the social medias so that they respond to you. But most clubs have it on their website. They'll have where they meet, the time they meet and everything, and an invitation to come. So they can show up uninvited if you want. That's up to you. If you want to pay for the meal, you can. Just depends on what the club's feeling on that. If not, have them go to a certain spot and send in the name and information, and someone will contact you, and then follow up immediately within a 24-hour period of receiving that, and contact them and invite them to the meeting. That answer your
Thank you.
question?
Yes, yes, it did.
Okay.
And
Any-
Stacy, sorry, Jerry, this is Lynn. I highly recommend that if you guys are getting those kinds of contacts, please don't just send them an email.
No.
People think that is rather impersonal. Pick up, if they give you a phone number, please pick up the phone and call them.
Okay,
It
I
makes
sure will. Thank you.
Makes a world of difference. Thank you.
I think it's the old adage that if you talk to somebody in person, you can accomplish a heck of a lot more than through an email or through a text.
Yeah.
Is there any other questions?
I don't think so.
Okay, hearing no other questions. If you have anything you need help with, feel free to holler at me. I'll get out information. I am in the process of making up kind of a calendar of things that need to be done by a president. Once I get that done, I will have Ken send it to all the presidents in the district.
Are we able to have this PowerPoint presentation emailed to us for our reference?
Yes, I can have this emailed to you. All I have to do is send me an email, so I have your email, and I'll turn around and send it to you. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for attending. Appreciate your time, and we will see you again tomorrow night for secretary's training.
Now, I would like to thank everybody for showing up. And remember, tomorrow we will be doing this again at 6 p.m. Arizona time, 7 p.m. New Mexico and Texas. And what we'll be having is Candy Druin. She will be our instructor for tomorrow night for the secretaries. So please get your secretaries to join in. This will be a great way, and she's going to be sharing her screen on how to do a lot of the work on the secretary dashboard. So that's going to be very helpful. But to all of the presidents that are still online yet, please think about your installation dinners that are going to be coming up, because you can contact your lieutenant governors, incoming lieutenant governors, get them invited so that they can go ahead and install your officers. But please remember that the installation dinners are your New Year's party. And it will really juice up the club, get them ready for the incoming year. So think about that. And with that said, I'd like to say thank you to everybody. We have gotten done before our 2-hour time with 20 minutes to spare. You've all been fantastic. So thank you for showing up. We appreciate your time. So we'll see you all, if we can, tomorrow, if not throughout the week. Thank you.